Coming off the bye, the Cleveland Browns at 2-3 are headed to the Meadowlands to see the winless New York Jets towards the bottom of the standings this year, as they are pretty much every year. We've got a busy episode today as we're going to go through the bye week. We have our first prospect profile of the year. We'll be talking about the quarterbacks in this year's class. And then we are on to week 7 against the Jets, looking to push our record up to 500. So we split our 2 games in the last episode against Cincinnati and Baltimore. The Bengals, of course, 5-0. They're playing some great football. And we kept the game semi-competitive. Defense really faltered in the second half after playing pretty well early. And then the Ravens on Thursday Night Football, our first primetime game of this series. Things started off rough. We were down 10-0, and I had felt like this team had hit rock bottom. Losing 3 games in a row, struggling early against Baltimore, but we found a way to battle back. Defense played great after the first quarter. Kieran Riddle had a strong second half, and we won an absolutely massive game to keep ourselves afloat in the AFC North and wild card playoff picture. We'll start today, though, with the prospect profile as we go over the quarterbacks in this year's class, and it's a really interesting group. Not as top-heavy as last year, but I think it's a lot deeper, and there are a lot more unknowns. Currently 4 underclassmen in this QB class. Last year there was only 1, that being Tyree Wells, who ended up returning to school anyway. So this year's group, I think there's a lot more questions. We have a lot less film on these guys, and it'll make their projections a little bit more interesting. Last year's rookie class is off to a historic start. We had 5 first-round picks, all of whom are currently starting, and all of whom, for the most part, have been quite good. Statistically, the worst of the group has probably been Kieran Riddle, who's only thrown 4 touchdowns through 5 weeks, but otherwise he's been, I feel like, pretty good overall personally. And I think the best part about Riddle's game up to this point has been his consistency. He's thrown basically the same completion percentage every week. We kind of know what we're going to get out of him, which is really rare for a rookie. Zarius Stone, the number 2 overall pick, is on an absolute heater. I think Carolina might have themselves a franchise quarterback the way he's playing. He had a good performance against us in week 2. Over the last couple of weeks, though, he's really been one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He won the NFC Offensive Player of the Week in week 4. Played well in week 5, the game that the 4-1 Panthers lost to the 4-1 Cardinals with Wambly Mendoza, who a lot of teams were sought after late in the draft process. Arizona with the surprising pick with him at number 8. And so far, it's been a resounding success. He's played very well up to this point. Obviously, week 1 was pretty rough, but since then, the Cardinals have scored at least 30 points every game, and they're 4-0. They're playing some great football, and Mendoza's a huge reason why. Isaiah Timpf won the NFC Offensive Player of the Week in his NFL debut. Since then, he has come back down to earth a little bit, but he as well looks like a hit for the Los Angeles Rams towards the middle of the first round. 3 touchdowns in back-to-back games. Granted, he also had 3 interceptions against the Raiders. And then even Brendan Holloway with the Steelers. He actually has been the primary starter so far in Pittsburgh, and so far he's looked the part. I wouldn't say he's been a superstar, but he's been really solid, and he has the Steelers playing good football. All 5 rookie quarterbacks look good. Not to mention there's Tempe Chesney drafted in the 2nd round. Who knows about Clyde Poole in Detroit if he gets his opportunity at some point with the Lions. So up to this point, last year's quarterback class, while it is a very small sample size, looks really, really good. It'll be hard for this group to match that, especially considering all the variables in terms of who the QB2 in this class could be. I think anybody between Carver and Hudson, QBs 2 through 5, could all easily go in the top 10, but could all also fall off the map entirely and return to school. We'll start, though, with Tyree Wells from SMU, who went into the year as the preseason favorite to be the number 1 pick, and through the first roughly third of the year, that has not changed. He's got SMU's offense rolling. They've scored at least 48 points in each of their first 4 games. Granted, they haven't played anybody yet. I'm excited to see what Tyree Wells looks like against tougher competition. He's a very traditional pocket passer with a little bit of spice and a little bit of a flair with the modern game. 6'2", 223 pounds. He's got an absolute rocket of an arm. He's a true gunslinger who's at his best, staying in the pocket, going through his progressions, but he can dance around a little bit under pressure as well. He's got good short area quickness and can really make guys miss in the backfield. My one concern with Wells is, as a pocket passer, your best trait should be accuracy, and I think that's kind of a weakness for him. His ratings won't really show it. He has phenomenal accuracy ratings across the board, but the numbers and the tape don't really back that up, and I do not believe he is the most accurate quarterback in the class, which you would hope he is, given that he might not have the physical upside that some of the players below him have. He first became a starter as a sophomore at the University of Colorado, where he was pretty solid. He was on the same team as Caleb Hobbs, future top 10 pick. Both of those guys obviously made good decisions to transfer up out of there. Wells leaves for SMU, where he has been great. This guy does not turn the ball over. Only 4 interceptions over the last 2.5 years. The numbers speak for themselves. This guy can absolutely tote the rock. He looked really good in both playoff games we saw of him last year against Stanford and Alabama. To me, he's kind of a high floor, a safe bet, if you will. He's a good processor. He's a smart kid. He does not turn the ball over. Not a lot of negative plays. But I do wonder what his ceiling is. I think it's a little bit limited, especially if his accuracy does not get better. Then we look at the competition for QB2. I think there's 4 guys in the mix, and they are all underclassmen. I would think 1 or 2 of these guys will probably be top 10 to 15 picks, but I don't really think their stocks are there yet as they dig for that QB2 spot and maybe QB1, especially if Tyree Wells does struggle towards the second half of the year. So if I had to pick now our ever so slightly favored to be QB2 in this class, I would look at Bryce Carver, the redshirt junior out of Texas. If you were to go into a lab and create the modern prototype you want at the quarterback position, it's Bryce Carver. 6'4", 225. He is a phenomenal improviser. This is a guy who can make plays out of structure, under pressure, whether it's as a runner or as a passer. He's got good arm talent. He's one of the more accurate quarterbacks in the class, and his production since he became the starter full-time last year at Texas has been really, really good. There are not many weaknesses, in my opinion, to his game. We didn't get to talk about him that much at Texas last year because the Longhorns were largely unserious, but I believe they are undefeated so far this year, and I'm excited to see if Carver will be able to keep it up against really good SEC opponents. 34 touchdowns last year to just 6 interceptions. This year he's been really solid. Completion percentage up to 69%. Nice. And when I think you look at the combination of size, speed, arm talent, and accuracy, it's hard not to be really excited about what he could be at the next level. Still some fine-tuning. I wish he was a little more consistent, but I think he's really talented. Galo Baron from Ole Miss transferred to the Rebels this past offseason after a great redshirt sophomore season at Middle Tennessee State, and he has been amazing. If we're talking about just the first 3 to 4 games of the college football season, no prior context before, no projecting afterwards, just the first 3 games of the year, Galo Baron has been comfortably the best quarterback in the country. He's completed nearly 80% of his throws. He also has done a great job under pressure of improvising, making plays out of the pocket. 6 foot 213. He's a little bit smaller than both Wells and Carver. I don't quite think he's got the arm talent that Wells and Carver do. I think he is a little bit more accurate, though. As we've seen so far this year, his passing numbers are arguably better than Zarius Stone's, who ended up being the number 2 pick and looks like a franchise quarterback for Carolina. Now, I do think Ole Miss's receivers are a lot better this year. I think that's part of it. But Galo Baron has been ridiculously good so far, and they have not played against bad teams. Georgia Tech, Florida, both very solid. Ole Miss scored 50-plus in both of those games. The Rebels play against Georgia this upcoming week. That'll be a massive test. And if Baron performs well, I think he catapults his stock into the top 10 to 15 picks right away. Wyatt Cruz from Oklahoma is an enigma. He is probably the most polarizing yet highest upside quarterback in the draft. The highs with Wyatt Cruz on film are very high. They make you think number 1 pick. The lows make you think, why is this guy playing quarterback? There are some splash throws on the tape. He had 5 touchdowns in his most recent game against Vanderbilt, including this thing of beauty, launching it down the field. He's got a cannon of an arm. He's big. He is improving his accuracy. And oh yeah, he's the fastest player on the field at all times. He is right up there with Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields, and Michael Vick as the greatest scrambling/rushing quarterback prospect in the history of the NFL. His consistency is a major problem, though. His accuracy is much further behind a lot of the other quarterbacks in this draft class. On a week-to-week basis, you have no clue what version of Wyatt Cruz you're getting, but the kid can absolutely fly. He is going to run in the 4.3s at least. I'm sure there will be discussions about him playing another position because he is such a good athlete, but I think he can make it work at quarterback. His accuracy so far this year has really improved. It was only at 55% last year. This season, 6-7. Wyatt Cruz has an extremely high ceiling, but an extremely low floor. It's a gamble. You're going to have to be patient with him. He's probably not going to be a star right away as a rookie, especially as a passer. But look out, the sky is the limit. I think it's going to be a similar conversation with Judah Hudson. The difference is he's not going to run in the 4.3s. Hudson is a guy who I thought going into last year would be a really intriguing long-term quarterback prospect, and he had a very solid, okay freshman year, I would say. He had a big offseason. He improved a lot. And as a redshirt sophomore, he's been one of the better quarterbacks in the country. And when you look at his quick progression, NFL teams are going to like that. They see a guy who's gotten better quickly, only 21 years old, the youngest quarterback in the class. And he also has very impressive physicals. 6'4", 225 pounds. He's got a rocket of an arm. He's not as fast as Wyatt Cruz, but he's a guy who can make plays out of structure when needed. The accuracy as well has got to get better. It has improved quite a bit from last year to this year. The turnovers were a problem last year. He was picked off 14 times and sacked 26 times. So far through 3 games this year, 1 interception, 0 sacks. He's cleaning up on the mistakes, and that's certainly a big deal for NFL teams because that was the big issue with him last year. So all 4 of these guys could be top 10 picks. They could be QB2, but they could fall out of the class entirely. There are a couple of other underclassmen who I did not put in the draft class, but they could certainly get there if they perform well. J.L. Mathis and Gerald Bohannock have the talent to do it. Arian Igwebuike, the redshirt sophomore at Memphis, he's only 20 years old. I don't quite think he's ready as a passer. I don't think he's quite an NFL passer yet, but he is the best rushing quarterback prospect in the class, and that includes Wyatt Cruz. Even though Cruz is faster and maybe has more rushing upside, Igwebuike is, as of right now, the better pure runner. Nick Eberle, the former 5-star at Clemson, I think he's got the tools to be a high pick, but the production just hasn't really been there up to this point. I definitely think he'll be a high pick in the future, but I don't know if that'll be this year. If he plays really well through the rest of the season, though, I do think he probably goes in the 1st or 2nd round. Jackson Jackson of USC, he's a gamer and he's a winner. 6'4", 211, he's off to a super impressive start this year, and if he keeps this pace up, then he will probably be a 1st or 2nd round pick in this year's class. So you've got these guys who are lurking on the edge of this draft class, all of whom could end up going high. This could certainly be an interesting quarterback class with all the movement I think we're going to have in the 1st round. And by the time we get to the end of the year, some of these underclassmen might be gone, and others might have entered the fold. Let's move down the board a little bit. We've got 2 guys projected on day 2. With Denny Love and Colin Westwood from the 2 teams who played in the national championship last year, Alabama and Texas Tech. We'll start with Love, who transferred to the Crimson Tide after finishing in the top 5 for the Heisman last year at Akron. The lefty, to me, is a very polarizing player because he checks off almost every box. Size, athleticism, mobility, accuracy, poise in the pocket. He's got all of it, but he does not have truly an NFL arm. He will have probably the weakest arm of any starter in the league, and if he had even an average NFL arm, he would be in this discussion to be the number 1 pick. That's how good he is, but that's how much of a question his arm talent is. After 2 really good seasons at Akron, he has elevated his play at Alabama, firmly in the mix for the Heisman Trophy. His accuracy's gone up, the turnover-worthy plays have gone down. Is it the Alabama system, or is he really good? Personally, I think it's a little bit of both. I'm very excited to see how he continues to perform against SEC play. So far, so good this year. I think the guy's really good. The arm is the only weakness, but it is a major weakness. And then Colin Westwood from Texas Tech. Going into the year, I kind of penciled him in as the 2nd guy after Tyree Wells. So far, he hasn't been very good. We have to remember, though, he did just win the College Football Playoff MVP last year. He led Texas Tech to a national championship. The Red Raiders obviously lost their top two receivers, Caleb Hobbs in the first round to the Broncos, Jordan Newton in the third round to the Cardinals, and it has shown Westwood has not been the same. 6'4", 193. He's tall but lanky. He is a gunslinger. He looks down the field often. He is not afraid to go for the big play, but I think his accuracy is a little shaky at times. I don't think he's that great under pressure, and the turnover-worthy play rate has gone way up this year. Last season, I thought he did a good job of avoiding mistakes, but this year, the turnovers have been a problem. He's already been picked off 5 times. He was intercepted twice against Virginia Tech. His completion percentage is lower than it was a year ago. These numbers are awfully impressive. 51 touchdowns in his national championship winning season, but he's got a lot of questions in terms of his weight, in terms of his accuracy, in terms of his decision making. All of that has to be answered. Now, I'll give him some flack because Texas Tech has played a really hard schedule so far, and they're 4-0. He's winning them games, but I don't think he's really the reason, per se, that they're winning those games. And if he continues to play like this, I have a hard time thinking they're going to make another run in the playoff. Then we move over to day 3. It's a really intriguing group of day 3 guys. There are some good players in here. Paul Green Jr. from Washington is certainly one of the biggest risers at the quarterback position so far this year. Started his career, ironically, at Oregon, Washington's biggest rival. Started there as a sophomore, was the starter at Washington as a junior. He was very mediocre. But here as a senior, he has elevated his game so far. 6'2", 233. His completion percentage has gone from the 50s to the 70s. He's impressive as a scrambler. He's impressive as an improviser. He can really move around in the pocket. And I think that's a big reason why his accuracy has gone up. He's been better under pressure. He's only been sacked once so far this year. Washington has not played against the best of competition, but we cannot ignore the fact that he has gotten significantly better from a year ago. Completed 80% of his passes in the Apple Cup against Washington State. So if he continues to play like this against good teams, it's going to be hard to ignore him as a potential day 2 pick or maybe even higher. Maxwell Logan from Notre Dame is up next, a 3-year starter at the University of Temple, where he was adequate, I would say. He never really blossomed into what he could be at Temple, but so far so good this year at Notre Dame, another guy whose stock has gone up through the year. 6 foot, 220 pounds. Accuracy's been the problem for him during his 3 seasons at Temple. He had Moses Lexington on his offense for 2 of those years, and he couldn't consistently get him the ball. Lexington, obviously, last year at Alabama, one of the top receivers in the country, one of the first picks of the second round by Carolina. But he looks like a different player this year at Notre Dame. Completion percentage has gone up. He hasn't been intercepted yet. I think the turnovers was probably one of the strengths of his game in the past. Even though the accuracy was not great, this is a very smart decision maker. He knows where to go with the football. It's not about making bad reads. It's more so about being accurate. Now, I don't think Notre Dame is as good as they were last year. I haven't been very impressed with them as a team through the first 3 weeks of the year, but it's not because Maxwell Logan hasn't been playing well. Kamari Fisher from Tennessee. This will certainly be an interesting discussion. Fisher has bounced around in his career. Started at UConn, where he didn't get to play. Transferred to the University of Incarnate Word, where he had a very good sophomore season. Transfers up to Tennessee. I thought he was good last year as a junior. And then he threw 5 interceptions in the first round of the playoff at home against USF. And South Florida does not have a good defense, even for Group of 5 standards. And Fisher completely wet the bed. So he has more to prove than just about anybody going into this year, and so far he has been good. The accuracy's gotten better. The arm talent is on display. Now, Tennessee choked a 4-possession lead against Texas A&M this past week, but it's not necessarily because he struggled. It's because he wasn't out there. He broke his finger in that game. They're hoping to get him back. We'll see when that will be, probably a couple of weeks. But they severely missed him, and that is certainly telling of how valuable he is for that offense. Hoppy Reynolds from LSU is a very interesting conversation. So this is one of the most battle-tested quarterbacks in this class, a 4-year SEC starter at 3 different SEC programs where he's been really productive everywhere he has gone. But he has a lot of X's on the checklist. He's 5'11", 186 pounds. His accuracy is not the best. He's not that great of a scrambler, but he's got a rocket arm. He doesn't play like someone who's 5'11", 186. He's got incredible arm talent. That's not the issue with him. But he isn't necessarily like a Kyler Murray who can dance around. He's better in the pocket. I also really don't get why he transferred from Georgia. I think he's going to regret that. There might be some stuff going on behind the scenes at Georgia because they had a lot of guys transfer, surprisingly, a lot of their best players. So there might just be some issues at Georgia. And he wanted to return home. He's from New Orleans, so in that sense, I kind of get it. But I'm curious to see how he looks the rest of the year at LSU. Josh Scarborough from USF has put up certainly more eye-popping numbers than just about anybody in this class. Is he a product of the South Florida system? However, this is very much an air raid offense. Mike Leach would be proud of this team watching them. Scarborough is someone who has made all the big throws during his time in South Florida. We talked about the playoff game against Tennessee where Kamari Fisher really struggled. He was great. He doesn't really have an NFL arm. He is not that impressive of a scrambler. His accuracy isn't all that good, but he finds a way to make it work. He's scrappy, he's tough, he's a gamer. The lack of NFL tools push him down into day 3, however, and I think the lack of arm talent, the lack of mobility, and the lack of accuracy certainly limit his ceiling, but this is a guy who can make all the throws, even if it is inconsistently. Michael Johns from UAB, physically talented, small school kid who's had a good year. I'm curious to see if he can push his stock up. Elijah Pyle at Michigan, talented player, turns the ball over way too much. That's why he's a fringe draftable guy. Kamani Rourke from UNLV, fun player, built very similarly to Colin Westwood in terms of the fact that they're both slim. Rourke is faster, but obviously not the passer that Westwood is. Greg Gaines from Iowa State, I like him. I think he's gotten off to a good start this year. I'm curious to see if he can keep it up. Jimothy Fontaine from Vanderbilt. He's got to clean up the accuracy and the interceptions, but another kid who's a gamer and scrappy and tough. Julian Hero from East Carolina was the Heisman favorite for most of last year. I don't really know why. He shouldn't have been. I think he is an intriguing undrafted flyer, but I don't think he's got an NFL arm. We'll get to see him with Virginia Tech, though, in a few weeks. I'm very curious to see what he looks like, and then a handful of other smaller school undrafted guys below them. So a very interesting quarterback class. I think we're going to see a lot of movement. I think Tyree Wells will be the top quarterback, probably will be the number 1 pick, but he still has to perform. If he struggles down the stretch, he will lose his draft stock. And then we've got all these young guys, Carver, Baron, Cruz, Hudson, who could easily push themselves up to the top of the draft. Or maybe it's someone who's not in the class currently, like an Arian Igwebuike at Memphis. Maybe he improves as a passer. Maybe Nick Eberle from Clemson puts it all together, or Jackson from USC. So let's take a look at our Week 6 weekly recap. Obviously, we did not have the game this week. We will start off, though, in Minnesota. 4-1 Bills, 4-1 Vikings. It seems like J.J. McCarthy is for real. The Vikings were a team who, going into the year, I thought could potentially be a quarterback landing spot if J.J. McCarthy does not take a leap. He didn't individually put up that impressive of numbers, but he's got the Vikings at 5-1. Although it was the defense who really led the way. Bills only scored 8 points. 3-2 Chiefs, 5-0 Broncos. Denver looks like a legit contender in the AFC. They are 3 games ahead with the tiebreaker of the Chiefs. Bo Nix significantly outplaying Patrick Mahomes, who completes less than half of his throws. Look out, kids. The Denver Broncos are really, really good, and we're going to get to play against them later in the year. 3-2 Chargers, 2-3 Seahawks in Seattle. It was a rough day for Sam Darnold and company. He's picked off by Derwin James, who takes it to the house in a 41-0 win. Darnold, 3 for 10, 22 yards. Yikes. Seattle better have been paying attention to the prospect profile we just had, because they could be a quarterback team this offseason. Let's take a look at some other scores. The Bengals lose their first game of the year, an upset at home to the Raiders. Interesting. Look at Las Vegas. Look at Geno go. The Jets are now 0-6. They lose to the Colts, one of 2 winless teams in the AFC, along with, surprisingly, the Houston Texans, who are 0-5. Arizona only scores 14. The Wambly-Mendoza hype train might be slowing down. The Zarius Stone hype train, though, has flown off the tracks. Second time he's won the Player of the Week in the last 3 weeks, joined by Marion Hampton, Jalen Carter, and Leo Chanel. Mendoza and Stone are both in the top 3 in terms of passing yards. They are in 2nd and 3rd, respectively. And if we factor in yards per game, Kieran Riddle's in 4th. He doesn't have a chance to be with those guys because he's at a bye week. So these rookie quarterbacks, man, they are something else. This class has been unbelievably good to start. It's a small sample, though, for all of these guys, but we could be looking at a historic 2020, 1984 level quarterback class. So that brings us here to Week 7. We're headed to Meadowlands to play against the Jets, who are bad at just about everything. They are losing by an average of 10 points per game, 23rd scoring offense, 31st scoring defense. They have struggled on the defensive side of the ball. If the season ended today, they would have the number 1 pick. They would probably take Tyree Wells, which is funny because I think if Wells had stayed in the class last year, he probably would have ended up with the Jets. Their offense hasn't been that bad, though. It hasn't been good, but it hasn't been the problem. This defense sucks. They are horrible. 44 points against the Bills, 28 against the Dolphins, 30 against the Raiders, 28 against the Broncos. Nearly beat Denver, though. Bryce Young, of course, is the starting quarterback. They got him on draft night. They wanted to pick Wambly Mendoza. They couldn't, so they trade for Bryce Young. They didn't have to give up much. Young has been not great, but not horrible this year. Nonetheless, he is hurt. He will not play, so it will be Justin Fields who gets the start. And honestly, I would rather play Bryce Young. I think Justin Fields gives our defense more trouble with his mobility. They've got a fun group at running back, Breece Hall, and the second rounder from Rice, Cameron Christmas. I think it's only a matter of time until Christmas becomes the full-time guy. I think Breece Hall on the franchise tag certainly will be a trade deadline candidate. They've got a cool group of receivers. Garrett Wilson's a stud. Kayshon Boutte had a nice year with the Bengals last year. And then Lonnie Block, the 11th overall pick out of Stanford. Isaiah Timp's top target last year with the Cardinal. Defensively, Sauce Gardner, All-Pro. Quentin Williams, All-Pro. And then it gets pretty bad after that. They don't have anybody else on defense higher than an 82. They do have a good offensive line. They've got a couple of talented young tackles. I want to see the pass rush continue to play well after one of their better games last week. It's not going to be easy, though, for the offense with David Njoku and Dorian Sahara both getting hurt against the Ravens. They're each going to miss a couple of weeks. So the weaponry looks a little bit shaky. Harold Fannon's obviously going to play a big role as the tight end. We are going to ask a lot out of these receivers. Jerry Jeudy. Jontre Hickson will be the other starter. Jamari Thrash, Isaiah Bond, maybe Tez Johnson. The running backs are going to have to get involved in the passing game as well. Jets rocking the throwback uniforms today as Cleveland opens up with the ball. 3rd down and 9. Kieran Riddle looks to throw it on the run. It is incomplete. Riddle looking to catch up to his rookie peers in this class who statistically have certainly much better numbers. Here is Justin Fields on 1st down. Fields surveys the field and he is thrown down as a former Ohio State teammate, Baron Browning, who's probably been our best defensive lineman this year. He's been a great addition, but it also speaks to how mediocre everybody else on the D-line has been. 2nd and 14. Breece Hall is wide open. Fields is just going to run with it. He does get the 1st down, but he could have gotten way more if he went through his progressions and didn't run with it immediately. At least Madden's being realistic, I guess. 3rd down and 7 at the 44. Fields and empty. Looking to throw it under pressure. Lobs it up down the field. Garrett Wilson. Broken away by Denzel Ward. The Buckeye quarterback is incomplete, looking for the Buckeye receiver because the Buckeye defensive back got a hand on it. Browns back on offense. 3rd down and 6 from the 29. Judkins in the backfield with Kieran Riddle, who looks to throw it. Riddle scrambles a little bit up the middle. It's caught. Jerry Jeudy with the 1st down to the 44. That was a good play there by Riddle. He was patient, went through his progressions, and delivers a throw on time and on the money. 2nd and 10. It's going to be a screen for Dylan Sampson, who's got space. Sampson tries to cut upfield. Good tackle at the 29, but a 1st down for Sampson. And the Browns offense appears to be in business against one of the highest scoring defenses in the NFL. 2nd and 10 from the 30. Play action. Riddle looks to throw it. Rolls right, looking for Jeudy. He's got it into the end zone for a touchdown. Jerry Jeudy, a 30-yard score, and the Browns strike first. Jeudy had 2 catches last week, nearly had 2 long touchdowns. Really good throw there by Kieran Riddle on the run. Not an easy play to make with Sauce Gardner lurking as it's 7-0. Here is Fields. He is sacked. Kosumi Bigman, the rookie from Oregon, brings him down. Myles Garrett sending pressure as well. Bull rushing through Olu Fashanu at left tackle. 3rd down and 13. Fields, it's a screen for Breece Hall. Brown sniff it out quickly, and he only gets 4. Carson Schlesinger brings him down. That'll lead to a punt, and the Browns get it back late in the 1st quarter with a little over a minute to go. Judkins gets it to the right with a nice block by Fannin. 1st down, juke move, runs into his own receiver. That could have been way more, but still a strong run for Quinshon Judkins. That'll wrap up the first quarter. So far, so good. Defensively, we have looked the part. I think the Jets have maybe one first down through 2 drives. Offensively, it's been a little bit more shaky, but we're coming off a really good second drive, and we're moving it well here on this next drive. So we're certainly picking things up after a slow start. 3rd down and 5. First play of the second. Riddle to the right side, looking to throw it. He's got room to run, and he gets nothing. Pushed out of bounds. The Jets make the play. 4th and 5. We could go for the 51-yarder. We could go for it. I thought about going either way, but I'm going to trust our rookie kicker, Paul Kacharczyk, who has looked the part up to this point. 51-yarder for the Maryland Terrapin to make it a 10-0 ball game. His kick is up, and it is good. 10-0 lead for the Browns as the Jets get it back. We'll see if their offense can get anything going here. I just know Tyree Wells is watching this game in horror with the thought of potentially having to play for the Jets. 3rd and 3. Short throw is caught. Mason Taylor, the tight end, with the first down, and he gets it to the 47 where he's wrapped up by Greg Newsome. Bigman a little banged up. That's not good, given how well he's played over the last couple of weeks. 2nd and 6. Hall with the pitch, and he is thrown down for a loss of 5. Greg Newsome leads the charge. Myles Garrett there as well. That'll make it a 3rd down and 11. Cam Christmas in the backfield with Hall and Fields as Myles Garrett is in with the sack. Where has this guy been all year? He blows through Armin Membu, the right tackle, and decks Fields to the ground. More of that, please, Myles Garrett. He's played great in this game. 3 TFLs, I think a sack and a half, as Riddle misfires for Harold Fanning. Good coverage by the Jets. That'll lead to a punt. New York gets it back. Last year when these two teams played, Justin Fields had nearly a 30-minute stretch where he did not complete a pass. Good run here by Breece Hall out of bounds. But Justin Fields in that game, he was impressive in the first quarter. And then from like the 2-minute mark on, he did not complete another pass until the 4th. But he's made some good throws today. He's got Wilson blanketed by Denzel Ward. Hauls it into the 40. Some funky formation so far for the Jets as Fields is under pressure. That one is hauled in by the rookie, Lonnie Block. A contested catch demon. We saw those plays all the time last year at Stanford. 3rd and 9, under 3 to go in the half. Fields lobs it up for the end zone. Broken away by Newsome. Lamar Jackson did this the entire game with the Ravens in Week 5. He kept lobbing it for the end zone, and it never worked. I don't know why quarterbacks are testing our deep man-to-man coverage. We're locking these guys up on these go routes, and the Jets are going to punt it. They could go for a 53-yarder, but they do not trust their rookie kicker, Ashton Lemon, the Virginia Tech kicker last year. They probably should have, though, because it was a really bad punt. And we're starting at the 23. Now at the 30. 3rd and 2, 2-minute warning. Judkins is pushed backwards. Amir Williamson, the big rookie out of Notre Dame with the stop. Jets call time. They'll get it back, trailing 10-0. Fields an empty here at the 19 on first down as he looks to throw it. Surveying the field. Wide open. He's got booty. They say he was out of bounds. I thought he clearly got 2 feet in, but they're not going to review it. Bad coverage by the rookie Dominic Proctor. On 2nd down, it's Lonnie Block fighting for yardage. He gets 9, and unfortunately, Block is hurt on the play for the Jets. Not good news. Their young receiver, the 11th overall pick in this year's draft, coming off a ridiculous redshirt sophomore season at Stanford, as it's 3rd down and 1. Breece Hall joins Fields in the backfield. Fields scrambles under pressure. Mason Graham unable to get his first sack of the year as Fields gets the first down. When is Mason Graham going to get this first sack? We're 5.5 weeks into the year now. Touche. It's the very next play where he gets his first sack of the year. Finally, Mason Graham, we've been waiting for it. A disappointing second season so far after an 11-sack rookie campaign. Field steps up, scrambles, does not have much room to go. That would not have happened in last year's game against the Jets, but we did not have Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah on the field last year as New York hurries back to the line. 3rd down and 13. Fields looks to throw it under pressure up the middle. It is caught by Kayshon Boutte, who is also hurt. So not only did the Jets lose 2 of their top 3 receivers, but they also have to use a timeout, which stops the clock and helps us. We've got 3 timeouts, baby. Going to 45 seconds here at the 16. Riddle goes short. It's Jontre Hickson, who gets around 12, and he was out of bounds. That stops the clock with 41 seconds. From the 27 now, Jets look to prepare to have a lot of defenders back deep. Riddle looks to throw it. Look at all that room. You cannot give him that much space. Scrambles for 11. Browns use their first timeout. I think we're in a good spot with the clock here. A couple more first downs, and that does put us in field goal range. From the 38, Riddle rolls out on the run with a dot for Fannin, who gets 22, and he's out of bounds to stop the clock. What a throw. Under pressure, on the move by Kieran Riddle. 23 seconds left, 2nd and 4. Riddle has space again, looks to run with it. Another first down. We've got to be smart with this timeout. We're going to use it now. That's our last one. So with 16 seconds left, we can't really get tackled in the field of play. I don't think we're going to be able to get back to the line quick enough to spike it. So we got to go for the end zone. Fannin's got room. Riddle looking for him, and it's broken away late. Zaire Thomas, drafted just a few spots after Fannin, is the one with the play. 2nd and 10. Riddle under a ton of pressure, and he throws it away. Good decision there by the rookie. 4 seconds left. We will bring the field goal team on. It is a 45-yarder for Paul Kasharchik, who's already made one from 51 to beat the buzzer here at the end of the first half. His kick is up, and it is good. 13-0 going into the break. It's been a little sloppy for us offensively, but Kieran Riddle has not made mistakes. He's not getting sacked. He's avoiding turnovers, and we're moving the ball relatively efficiently. And then the defense has been phenomenal, carrying over the performance from the Ravens game with a shutout through the first half. Let's take a look at our halftime report. Zarius Stone and the Panthers would be upset by another rookie quarterback. Caleb Williams is hurt, so it's Landon Dorsey, the 6th round, 61 overall rookie from Kent State, who hasn't played very well for the Bears. He started pretty much the whole year because of Caleb Williams' injury, but he leads them to the win against the Panthers. 49ers and Dolphins, both teams 2-4. Tua Tagovailoa lobbing it in the end zone for Devon Achane. The Dolphins lead 10-7 at the break. Kind of feels like Tua's playing for his job. The Dolphins could be a sneaky quarterback-needy team, and at 2-4, they would certainly have their chance to likely pick between a few. And then the Cowboys and the Commanders in the NFC East. Big game for playoff implications. Dallas 3-3. Washington currently sitting at 4-2. Jaden Daniels under pressure with a nice throw up the middle for Deebo Samuel, who turns back the clock. The Commanders and the Cowboys tied at 17 in a high-scoring shootout so far in the nation's capital. Taking a look at some other scores across the rest of the NFL. The Saints are beating the Bucs. The Giants over the winless Texans. Minnesota, New England tied at 6. And then Atlanta over the Packers. Kieran Riddle, 10 of 16, 137 yards. He's been really solid. Fields has been good as a passer as well. 7 of 10, 100 yards. I think the big standout overall has been Myles Garrett. 6 tackles, 4 for a loss, and a sack. He looks great against these young offensive tackles. Garrett with pressure again, but Arian Smith is wide open. 67, 6-7, yard touchdown. And the Jets, who were shut out in the first half, are on the board within seconds here in the third. Fields was under a ton of pressure, but Arian Smith was wide open. That was horrible coverage by Dom Proctor. He got absolutely cooked. Proctor, the top pick in the 4th round out of Arizona, really struggling in this game. He's had some bad reps. And the Jets bring you within 1 score. We've got ourselves a ball game very quickly into the third. Browns have it back. I think we've ran it well as a team so far. Judkins up the middle, first down nearing the 45. Judkins averaging 6 yards a carry in the first half. He hasn't been very efficient so far this year, so it's been really encouraging to see him being productive here against New York. Riddle is thrown down by Jermaine Johnson, a loss of 8, as he beats the left tackle very quickly off the edge, Trent Brown. 3rd and 14. Riddle on the run, looks to scramble. Juke move, makes multiple guys miss, gets 11. That's not going to be enough, though. Johnson with the tackle, and Riddle appears to be cramping up after the play. Jets will get it back. We decided to punt it. So New York looking to keep things going. They get the big touchdown on offense. They get a stop on defense. From the 6, Field surveys the field, has a wide open Breece Hall. And there goes Breece with a spin move. He's hit by Lake, but he gets 24, puts the Jets out of safety territory. Another chunk play through the air. Fields is really throwing the ball well right now. Play action. Lobs it up. There's the Justin Fields we all know and love. It's intercepted by Delpit. with a block by Schlesinger. Delpit out of bounds past the 35. Justin Fields was really starting to play well, too. And then he just lobs it up into double coverage for no good reason. Delpit, tied for the NFL lead in picks a year ago with 6, grabs his first of the year. And look who's in at quarterback. It's Shedeur Sanders. We want to be protective of our magnum opus asset, so we're going to be cautious with Riddle, as he's got Dylan Sampson for a gain of 23. Sampson quickly bringing it to the 11. A good start here for Shedeur. We got to see him in week 2 trying to make the comeback against Carolina. Ultimately, he was unsuccessful. 3rd and 3 now at the 4, looking to make it a 2-score lead. It's Sampson. Lowers the shoulder. He is in. Dylan Sampson with a rushing touchdown, and the Browns lead 19-7. We're going to go for 2. Look to make it a clean 14-point game. And there is a switch at quarterback. Kieran Riddle, who did not play a single snap on this drive, is back out there for the 2-point conversion. Riddle rolls out to the right, hoping someone gets open. No one's open, but we find open space. That works. Riddle gets the 2-point conversion with his legs. 21-7. Browns adding to the lead. Jets get it back. 2nd down and 7, around halfway through the quarter. Big turnover, big touchdown for Cleveland. Here's Arian Smith again. He is hit hard by Delpit, but another rough rep from Don Proctor. He has certainly had a welcome to the NFL moment today. Smith nearly has 100 yards on like 3 catches. 2nd and 10. Fields had the running back wide open deep on the wheel route. Still gets a good gain with Garrett Wilson for 23. But I think they could have gotten a touchdown with Breece Hall. Leave it to Justin Fields to not look at his progressions and force it to the first read. 2nd and 12, he's got Arian Smith looking to break the tackle, gets the first to the 11. Give Smith credit with the receivers the Jets have had at receiver today. He has really stepped up. 3rd and 8, here's Fields. Looks to throw it in the end zone. It's incomplete. Ronnie's got to catch that. That was right in his mitts. Jets are going to have to settle for the field goal. It's our good friend Ashton Lemon, who did not miss a field goal last year at Virginia Tech. The Jets opted not to have him kick one earlier from 53. He was never a distance kicker with us. I don't think we ever had him attempt one from beyond 50. He's more of an accuracy guy. I think in hindsight, they still should have tried, though. They didn't get much yardage from punting it, and it could be a 1-score game had he made it. 21-10 now. There's Jerry Jeudy to the 44. Good throw there by Kieran Riddle, who unsurprisingly is back in the game for good. 2nd and 10 now, 40 seconds left. Riddle and empty. Look at circle wide open, but Riddle cannot get it to him. That was Dylan Sampson. Ran a great route. Would have been a touchdown, but the Jets send the all-out blitz, and it works. 3rd and 10. They'll rush 4. Up the middle. First down. Jamari Thrash to the 45, and that will wrap up the 3rd. The Jets' offense looking better. We still lead it by multiple scores, however, 21-10. We've got the ball. We're in the driver's seat, even though the defense was a little bit worse in that 3rd quarter. I think the big reason why is probably the pass rush. We were a lot quieter up front in the 2nd half. Certainly a correlation with pass rush production and how good the defense is overall scoring-wise. 3rd and 4 at the 39. Sampson up the middle. Gets the first with a good block by Thrash. Fighting his way to the 22, where he's wrapped up by Sauce Gardner. This continues to be our best game running the ball so far. We've been physical up front. The 2 backs have played well, as on 3rd and 7. Riddle looks to throw it, looking for the end zone. Broken away. Tries to get it up for Jontre Hickson. Good job in the New York secondary. That'll bring out the field goal team. It's been a busy afternoon for Paul Kacharczyk, as that kick is good. He is 3 for 3. And it's a 24-10 lead. Still a 2-score game. Jets, I guess, are not out of it, as it's 3rd down at the 24. Fields looks to throw it. That one is off the mark for Garrett Wilson. Is it too early to go for it? With 8.5 to go, the Jets certainly think so. They would decide to punt it, giving Cleveland the ball back on offense to potentially ice the game. Certainly choose some clock. 1st down at the 40. Riddle looks to throw it. Rolls out to the right side. Look at all that room to run. With a nice block, tiptoes in, and gets 17 yards. I would say he was tackled in bounds to try to keep the clock going, but Quincy Williams got hurt, so, well, so much for that. From the 43, play action. Riddle again to the right side, looking on the run. He's got Hickson, who's made some nice plays in this game. Definitely want to get Jontre Hickson the ball more. However, I think that'll be an emphasis for us next week with Sahara and Njoku still out. On 3rd and 9, Riddle's got Sampson. He's had a nice game through the air. Sampson to the 7, a gain of 23. And another first down for Cleveland in striking distance of making it a 3-score game. 2nd and goal. Little over 5 to go. It's Judkins. Touchdown! Quinshon Judkins having his best game of the year. Fitting that he adds a trip to the end zone here in the 4th quarter. 31-10. The Browns in clear control against the Jets. First down from the 45. Fields surveys the field, looks to run it. Here's a nice scramble. I think we've done a good job containing his rushing. We've had spies out there pretty much the whole game. But Fields does get a good run on that play. 2nd and 10 from the 27 now for the Jets. Fields looks to throw it under pressure from Graham. That's sack number 2 for Mason Graham. He has had his best game of the year. We certainly need him out there playing well. Missed most of last week against the Ravens. Still very much recovering from his injury last year. 3rd and 20, another sack. Jervis Dexter, first of his career, the 5th rounder from Pitt. 4th and 25. The Jets are obviously going to hurry back to the line with around 3 minutes to go. From the 42-yard line, Fields by himself. Browns likely to send 7 back. Here is Fields under pressure, lobs it for the end zone, one-on-one. It is caught! Malachi Corley, touchdown Jets! Wow, what a play by New York. Corley's not the biggest guy whatsoever. He's not a contested catch guy. Still comes down with it as the Browns recover the onside kick. Good job there by Cleveland. It's Tez Johnson who makes the play. Now we'll look to choose some clock and end this game for good. From the 38-yard line, Riddle looks to throw with under 3 to go. It's Sampson again. That route has been killer today. Their linebackers, their footwork has not been quick enough to match up with the fleet of foot Dylan Sampson. 3rd and 4. Judkins gets the first to the 15. The Jets got to call their last timeout. Another first down ends the game for good. We'll see if we can do it and get that 2nd consecutive win. 2nd and 8, following the 2-minute warning. Sampson, juke move, night. Gets it to the 3, and the Browns win it 31-17. We improved to 3-3 on the year. That's why the Ravens game last week was so important, because with that win, we're able to get some momentum. We get the 2.5 weeks off. We beat the Jets on the road. And all of a sudden, with a 500 record, this season gets interesting. We've got a huge game next week against the also 500 division rival Pittsburgh Steelers. That will certainly be an interesting litmus test to see where this team is in terms of, who knows, competing for a wild card spot as early as this year. Certainly a good win. I thought the defense played really well, especially early. I don't think the 17 points does it justice. The Jets added some points late. They had a couple of really big plays. Other than Dominic Proctor, who was brutal in coverage, everybody else was great. As for us, I thought the offense was good enough. The run game was phenomenal. 34 carries, 194 yards. Both quarterbacks nearly identical passing ratings. Kieran Riddle, again, mid-60s completion percentage. You know what you're going to get out of him. He continues to be consistent, even if the high-end flashes are not there. Fields, meanwhile, not accurate. Bad interception, but he also had some impressive splash throws. 15 for 80 for Judkins, 12 of 65 for Sampson. This is what I've dreamed of with this backfield duo. We haven't really had these two guys playing that well together until today. Sampson also had 73 yards through the air. He might have been the best player on the field. Judy at 72, Arian Smith at 101. Offensive line, I thought, played a good game. Theirs, meanwhile, did not. I do wish the pass rush was better in the second half, but it has gotten better as the year has gone along. Secondary was pretty good other than Proctor. Linebackers played well again. It wasn't a perfect defensive performance, but other than Dom Proctor, I'm pretty happy with how everyone played. Shout out Delpit, first interception of the year. Shout out Mason Graham, first 2 sacks of 2026. So before we get to the weekly recap, we do have a somewhat significant new injury. Another one of the rookies has gone down. 3rd-round linebacker Tanner Mariani tore his labrum in the first quarter, and he is likely to miss roughly the next 4 to 5 games. So Mariani will be on the shelf. Noah Sewell will likely take some of those reps. I think we're going to have less 3 linebacker sets, might run a little bit more nickel. But when we did that today and had Dom Proctor in the game, he really struggled. So I'm not fully sure how we're going to be able to manage that. Week 7 across the rest of the NFL. We're getting pretty close to the halfway point already. We will start in the Meadowlands. 2-3 Browns, 0-6 Jets. as New York would remain imperfect. Tank for Tyree, winless for Wells. I don't know. I think those two, they kind of work. Browns win the game, though, 31-17. We improved to 3-3. And again, a massive game in Week 8 against Brennan Holloway and the Pittsburgh Steelers. 4-2 Chargers, 4-2 Cardinals. Wambley Mendoza facing off against a great defense, great defensive coordinator with Jesse Minter. And the rookie looked like a rookie in this game. Chargers take it, 34-21. LA improves to 5-2. Mendoza did throw for 3 touchdowns, but he wasn't overly accurate. That seems like one of his stat lines at Ohio State. A lot of touchdowns. Missed some throws, though. Steelers and Bengals. Who were we supposed to root for? Probably a meteor. Well, ultimately, it was Cincinnati, improving to 6-1. That might be the worst coverage I've ever seen. 35-33 in a high-scoring shootout. Both Joe Burrow and Brennan Holloway with 3 touchdowns. So with us and the Steelers each at 500, the winner of that game takes second place in the division and could take one of the wild card spots in the AFC. So again, there is a lot at stake against Pittsburgh. The Texans as well remain winless. They lose only by 1 to the New York Football Giants. Big win for Washington, 17-38. Shout out Fetty. The Rams only score 7. They continue to be inconsistent with Isaiah Tim. As for the players of the week, Michael Penix, Trevor Lawrence, Samuel Womack, and Shamari Connor. That is an interesting group of players. So Week 8, at home against the Steelers, it's a big one. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to format next episode because Week 9 is the trade deadline. I usually like to give that its own week. So I don't know if I want to do 2 games. Maybe I do a prospect profile, back-to-back episodes. I'm not entirely sure. Or maybe we give this game its standalone episode because it is a huge matchup against the Steelers, one of the top 10 scoring offenses with a good rookie quarterback in Brennan Holloway. Him and Kieran Riddle have been connected at the hip since last year, and they will continue to be now that they are in the same division as each other. So certainly a big matchup here for us. We're currently the 9 seed with a win. We could make it up to 7. We're tied for that 7th spot. New England currently 3-3. The Titans, the 8th seed, also 3-3 as well. So that'll wrap it up. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Peace out.